I'll try to answer your questions. We're 48 hours out, so I tried to mock up within reason, because we have 90 guys. I wanted to make it a little longer what a typical Friday would look like. You go fast, you blink fast, have very low tolerance for mistakes. We over-exaggerate communication, getting in and out of the huddle, hit or as many situations as possible, and kind of cap off the preparation before you have the day before walkthrough. So that's what you saw today. All right.
I'm sorry, Matt.
No.
Will you do a traditional walkthrough, or will you take tomorrow?
Tomorrow's a mock game, so I'll have a traditional schedule. I think we've already talked about that, but they'll come in on Monday. We'll watch the tape, settle all debts. Anything happened over the weekend on Monday. That way, if they're a little angry with me, they can go home on their off day and simmer down, and then come back on Tuesday. And then basically, I think it's important to clean up the game, film and otherwise, and then come back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and train. And then on Saturday have a traditional mock game, which is more mental.
What did you see from Saquon?
Well, he practiced today, as you saw, so we're getting him back out there. So, he's coming back from his tweak, and we're gonna be. It's very important for guys to practice. Good question, though.
I meant to get him into another preseason game at this point. Not quite.
We'll see.
Easy.
We'll see. Again, we'll see.
Not
as good a question, but I'll try to give you a good answer. We'll see.
Pat, you started to say "we're going to be" about Saquon. What was that next word?
We're going to be smart. I think that's a repeat too. Yeah.
We repeat a lot.
Are you okay with going into week one without having had Beckham and Barkley both on the field in a game together?
We'll see if that actually happens. We'll see.
How important is it to get Odell in a preseason game in your mind, considering he's coming back from that injury, like you said?
Well, we're trying to be smart with it, and we'll see. We'll see. He's gotten so much work behind the scenes, and we'll just have to see how it plays out.
One of the differences between now and when you were in Cleveland before is there's no longer the cut down to 75, it's 90 to 53.
Good point.
How does that change the mentality of a coach in those last couple of weeks?
It really does, and where the real challenge comes is for the personnel people, because now the market's flooded with players as opposed to doing it in segments where then you can decide if the guys that were cut fit your roster or would upgrade a group. Now there's just a lot of players all out there at one time, and so that's where the challenge is. That's a much better question for the personnel end of things.
How big a challenge is transitioning from corner to safety, and how has Gay handled that?
Challenge, well, certainly as a safety you have to communicate more, but he's been a nickel player before, so typically you got to communicate on the inside of the defense. I think he's done a good job with it. Certainly when you play the back end, you got to be able to play the middle of the field and play down, play man and zone from there, and then you have to be able to tackle, which he's been able to do. So we feel like he can make the transition. We'll just see how it plays out.
What has BW Webb done to kind of get that upper hand at the nickel spot?
I wouldn't say he's got the upper hand. I mean, that's, what I would say is he's done a good job to this point, and he's done a good job covering the slot and covering outside. So that's why he's he's got our attention.
Do you anticipate, I know you said you weren't a fan of the term dress rehearsal, but do you anticipate your starters went from 2 series to like 3 or 4 last week? Do you anticipate them getting
Typically the starters play more in this third preseason game.
How much stock do you put in this game in general in your evaluation process?
It's part of it. It's one of the 4 games that we look at, and it's just like any other game. I think you got to put equal stock in all the games. It's not like old Catholic school. You could throw out your worst test. You can't. They all count. Everything counts. And so what you hope to see is players play better as they go. So if they've played quite a bit to this point and they've kind of had a good performance, you like to see them play better.
What do you like?
Just what are some things in which you saw out of Presley, and do you expect that he'll be able to play come Friday?
Yeah, good question. Jarrell Presley, he's a guy that I'm familiar with from Minnesota. He competed hard for us there. he's a tough guy. He's fast, and you know, we're going to get him in the game, and he's going to play for us. And he's a terrific young man as well. Plus, it was easy to get him here. He was down there in Delaware, so it was a quick drive up. But yeah, we like what we've seen in the past, and he's going to get his opportunity.
What do you like about John Field and how he's handled that offense?
John's very smart. He blinks fast. He makes good decisions in terms of getting us going the right direction. You know, and he's generally played center well for us to this point.
Blinks fast?
Admiration for a guy who's kind of stuck to it like that, getting cuts and practice squad, things like that.
I'm fond of guys that got some scars and some adversity and they've pushed through it. The one thing about guys that push through adversity, you know, they develop a mindset to handle adversity when it comes down the road. Sometimes, you know, guys that haven't had to face much, and then all of a sudden they're faced with a 3rd and 5 in the stadium, you don't know what their mechanisms are. So, but he's done a good job.
Pat, Grant Haley, undrafted, Grant Haley, undrafted, of course. What have you seen from him?
He's a competitive guy, and he's tough, and he plays very hard, and I think he's made improvements, and I think that's what you like to see from a young man.
What's your thought about Washington signing Peterson, the guy who you coached and will have to play against twice now?
I'm sorry. Adrian Peterson.
Yes,
yeah, he's an outstanding player. I mean, that goes without saying. So he's a hard runner, and so our guys are going to have to make sure they get their pads loaded to tackle him when he's in there.
Okay.
One more.
Blinks fast?
Blinks fast. Makes good decisions. Doesn't doubt things. So when they see it, they know what they're looking for. When they see it, they pull the trigger.